Welcome, guys, back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2. I'm driving again, like I've been driving a lot lately, so I'm back on the road. But I figured I have a few minutes as I'm driving to kind of give my thoughts on another video. And once again, thank you for all the subscriptions, the comments, the likes, those type of things. And continue doing that. Now, this topic is interesting and talking about the connection between health and wealth. And you may not think there's a great connection, but we'll kind of talk about it a little bit and kind of see where it heads when we're actually going ahead and talking about it. So health and wealth, and we'll talk about some books that are pertinent to this. The Richest Man in Babylon, which I'll talk about as a separate video, as well as Think and Grow Rich and those type of things. But the key thing, guys, to recognize as you look at this is going back to the premise we talked about before. And that's if you save your energy and you're able to understand how to do that, then what you're doing is learning self-control. And if you learn self-control, then that's the behavior you can use in anything that you do. Right? So you use that behavior, other things that you're doing, and now that's going to transfer into positive things that you can use to go ahead and focus on. I'm going to turn here for a second, guys. It's okay. And that's gonna help. So, for instance, let's take an example. I know a lot of people who tend to get paid on Friday, and by the time they get to Monday, they have almost no money. And if they can pay the bills, great. And then they have no money left for anything else. And so they haven't thought out the next 2 weeks at all and trying to figure out, well, do I have enough money and can I afford to spend this type of thing? And so setting up a budget, setting anything up that's goals as far as financial goals go is not something that people who are not on this journey or not on this plan can do very well. And a lot of people suffer with this type of thing. Now, it is unusual, especially in our country, that we have people that really cannot manage their money, right? They don't have enough self-control to actually be able to manage their money. And so, in this country, for instance, I think the average that I saw in some statistic the other day was maybe 3%. People can save 3% of their salary. While you look at other countries, and I look at some of the Asian countries, and you look at them, and a lot of the numbers that come out of there is 12, 13% people are saving. So that means out of every paycheck, those people are putting in investments and saving about 13%, almost over 10% of their salary, which is phenomenal. But that takes a lot of self-control. And I haven't had that kind of self-control over my life. So that's something that I continue to work with. I've made strides, but you still have to think to yourself, okay, how can you manage that? How can you do that? Especially when you have family and kids like I've had as growing up. But it has gotten easier because once you're on this plan, and now I see it a lot clearer, now it's a lot easier to do because you have that ability. You're not afraid to save money. And I think that's a key when it comes to exerting self-control. So when you look at this kind of issue, you're really talking about kind of transferring that self-control. So for instance, we talk about that book, Richest Man in Babylon, and we talk about this whole idea of trying to save money. Well, one of the recommendations in the book talks about, and we'll do an extra video on that, but one of the recommendations in the book talks about saving 1/10 of everything that you earn. So for instance, if you get paid $800 on a Friday, the first thing you do before you spend any of that money is you put $80 away. And you put that in investments. Now that means that you're going to have the discipline to be able to live on, under what you make. Now that's the trouble with most people in the United States. A lot of people struggle with this idea of living under your means. And because people can't do that, then they get involved in credit cards, which I used to have a bunch of credit cards and got into a bunch of trouble with credit cards. Now I don't have any anymore. But the thing about it is that that's an easy thing, and especially if you have kids and growing up and having families and things like that, there's a lot of wants out there. But I think Epictetus made the best type of comment, and I think I'll add this on here, but he says wealth really is having less wants, right? Not that you have accumulated a lot, but that you have less wants. And I think that's very, very true. As you are on this journey, there are less things that you want. And that means you can save your money for other things. I mean, you don't need as much. Obviously, you're not chasing a lot of people around. You're not focusing on all these indulgence things that we do, like drinking and parties and sex and all that kind of stuff. You're not doing that because you're refraining and you're having self-control. That means you're going to be able to save yourself a heck of a lot of money because you're not doing those things. And if you're doing like I'm doing with fasting and watching your food, then you're not eating as much either. So your food bill is not eating as much, plus your health is in great condition. And now you can focus on then using self-control, and then you can go out and actually find more ways to make money. And I'll talk about that in a second. But to finish up, what you really want to do is figure out a way in your budget to be able to save some amount of money. Now, if you can't do 10%, I would do at least something else, right? Figure out some kind of way to start a habit of saving something. Even if you put it in a savings account or something, you don't need to focus on investments. We'll talk about that probably in another video. But you can at least save the money and put the money away. It builds a good habit. Now, I also put 10% away in tithing, and that's not always been something I've always been able to do well either. So those are my faults, trying to continue this journey and be able to kind of focus on those two things. But 10%, whether you're religious or not, the 10% still is something you should be doing all the time. You should be able to put money away so you know that's going to go to investment and have that in case you need that, and let that grow. What you really should be doing, and we can talk about that when we review this book, but you should be living on your principle. Living on your interest. So I say principle. You should not be living on your principle. The principle is the foundation money. So if you put some money away, we'll say for $10,000, and you get 3% interest, you should be able to build up enough interest to be able to live on your interest alone and never touch your foundational money. Okay? That would be the goal. Now, many of us are not in that position. I think only 3-4% of the people in the world are in that position. So you really kind of want to focus on the idea is how can I start saving now? Now, you can start anytime you really want to. I'm at the point where I'm 60, so 20, 30 years from now, I'll be almost 100 years old, 90 years old. So for you guys and you gals are in the 20s, this is the time to do that. This is the time to set a plan that you're going to be putting money away, that you can actually have that. Whether you're doing it to save for a house, save for family, save for anything you want, you can have that money put aside. But once again, the key is going to be to live on your interest and not your principle. Okay? Now, the other thing I want to talk about when it comes to wealth and money on this one is talking about the fact that if you're healthy, and I don't care how old you are, I mean, even at my age, 60 years old, you have the energy and vitality then to go out and expand who you are. Now, the reason I'm doing a lot of these videos is because I have a lot more energy than I did, honestly. A lot more energy now than I did before I went on this journey. So I have time, and even though I'm working 60 hours a week, I can still have time and enjoy and have fun doing these type videos to help people. Okay? So the thing is that you're going to have a lot more energy, and that's going to make you ability to earn a lot more money too. And so as you do this, opportunities will come your way that you may never expect. And that's why you have to make sure that you stay on your purpose, you stay on your plan, because other people will notice it and they will once again be attracted to you. Now, some people will be those vampires, those succubuses, those zombies that are going to just want to drain you. Other people, however, respect and see who you are, and they're going to open opportunities for you. And if you have goals set up and you know where you're heading, then the goals will appear to you a lot easier because this is what you're focusing on. You're not focusing on chasing girls or guys. You're not focusing on having fun parties, all that kind of stuff. Now you're becoming serious and saying, okay, I'm going to use these goals. I'm going to use this purpose to better myself in all areas. And that's why you see people like Tesla and Jobs and Muhammad Ali used to be, Tyson, all these people succeed and make tons of money because they're refraining. And Nikola Tesla's case, and I just saw a biography on him, I mean, he used retention his whole life. And, he didn't have any kids. Well, he used his whole life, but he used it after having kids as well. So he had kids, obviously had a kid. But the thing about it is that he used it most of his life. He wasn't chasing women around all the time. And when you look at people, successful people, they rarely have more than just a wife. And I'm not saying that's either good or bad, but I'm saying that person spends most of their time being focused on the goal. And they're focused on trying to achieve things, and they're not focused chasing around people. They're not hanging on the corners chasing for girls or guys to come along. They're not chasing things around. They're focusing on trying to be the best person they can be. And because of that, then they're actually succeeding in a lot of the areas of not only health, but then it becomes wealth and making money, and also the spiritual side of things too, which is a big part of this as well. And we can focus on it. I did a couple of videos on that part as well. So the thing is, my friends, when you look at the connection, it's a very strong connection. You don't always think that the connection between health and wealth, except for the obvious reason. Obviously, if you're healthy, you're going to be able to work. But beyond that, there's a lot of things that go into the journey you're in. This is why I say that it's been a game changer for me in my life. It's changed my life totally around, along with the Fountain of Youth. These are the two most, and actually this is part of the Fountain of Youth, so I guess you could look at that whole process with the Tibet priest, and looking at that whole thing that they did to stay young is just amazing to me. I think there's so many benefits to it. And we talked about the exercises, we talked about the retention in exercise number 6. Those things can change your life around. And once you do that, then all of a sudden, now all these behaviors you've learned, now they become stronger, and now you're basically saying, okay, now let me focus on another area of my life that I've been weak at, in my case, finances for a while, and let's see if we can try to improve that. And all of a sudden, you'll be shocked to find that money's coming your way, things are happening, because now you're focusing your attention, instead of on girls and guys, you're focusing your attention on trying to make money and trying to be healthy. And as you can do that, you're also going to be visualizing those things in your head, and now you're going to be able to kind of put down some concrete types of goals and things that you want to achieve. So guys, there's a huge connection between money, health, retention, all these type of things. And it really kind of is to your benefit to understand this, because as you get older, especially I'm talking about the younger people in the audience here, as you get older, you'll realize how important it is to really focus on making sure that you're learning self-control, learning self-discipline, so that when you get to the point of saying, okay, let's go ahead and change my whole life around, because it is a life-changing thing, a life commitment, then I can also now see the benefits in other types of things. And when you do that, all of a sudden these things don't matter that mattered before. I had a young lady, and it was really flattering. She comes up and she was very flirtatious. But in the back of my mind, I realized, A, this is not going to any sort of purpose that I have, and B, it would be just a huge problem, for me overall. Whether it's the situation is good or bad, it was just a bad problem. So I decided that, okay, I'd be nice and say thank you, and then I just left it. And I think that sometimes you have to think to yourself, what is the long-term goal here? The long-term goal is not to waste your energy on things that are not going to be part of your goals, and that's the key. All right, so guys, that's it for this one. I'm going to take a stop for a second. I'll probably do another one a little bit later. But until next time, battle on and make great money, great health, be great spiritually, and be successful. See you soon.